Hi, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Charlotte. I'm a Danish book lover based in Spain, and this is my little corner of BookTube. So we're officially starting the video where I'll be reading the TBR for April that I did in my previous video, which is based off of a few different genres. So there's a book within each genre. If you haven't watched my previous video, go watch that first so that you know what books I'll be getting into, and then come back to this one and watch how I get through all of them. We're sitting outside today. It is my birthday, so it is the 4th of April. We are starting a little bit late, I suppose, but I did start God of Wrath by Rena Kent, which is the third book of the Legacy of Gods series. I started that on the 1st of April because I needed to know what was going to happen between those two characters. So I read that already, and now I need to get started on this TBR that I made in my previous video, which is what we're doing today. So we're starting a little bit late. Hopefully that doesn't mean that I won't be getting through all the books, but we'll find out. I did start yesterday though on the first book, and I couldn't really figure out which book to start with, but since having read the Legacy of God series, like the first 3 books of the series, I'm still missing the remaining, but I'm still in that mood. Like I still want to read something that's like spicy, dark romance kind of thing. So I thought, okay, we'll start with Gothikana by, I really don't know how you say this author's name, Runyx? I don't know. Gothikana, which is a dark academia romantasy, I suppose, or romance, I don't know. And I did start this yesterday, and I'm 50 pages in, and so far it's okay. I don't really have much of an opinion yet. Like, I kind of like the vibes, but you know, at the moment it's just kind of like getting to know like the characters and the world and stuff like that. So I haven't really got much to say as of yet, but I thought, okay, I've been at work, I've come home, my daughter's in bed, I've been out with the dog. Now it's a bit of me time, so I thought let's sit and read this for a little bit before I have some other things to do. So that's what we'll be doing now. So get comfy, get yourself a drink, and I really hope that you enjoy this video. Okay, time for a little update. I hope you can hear me. My stepson is just watching SpongeBob SquarePants in the background, so excuse that. But time for a little update. So I've been reading Gothikana now I started not last evening, but the evening before. I am probably about a third through. So I'm currently on page 144, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet. I mean, I think it's interesting, but I'm not loving it. Like, it's all right. I'm not minding it. Like, I don't mind sitting and reading it, but it's not like my fingers are itching to like reach for it. And I can tell it's not going to be a 5-star read. That's for sure. I feel a little bit funny with the writing style. I don't know exactly what it is. I can't really pinpoint it, but there's just something about it where I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. Like, I don't think I'm loving it, but it's like there's something lacking for me, and I cannot tell you what it is. So far, the story is about our MFC who's been brought up with her mother who never really said much, and I don't know if they're like witches in some way, like they're not, but they do readings of people, and they have like a specific relationship with like the nature and the forests, the woods, and they never really socialized. And then I actually thought her mom died. It turns out she didn't, but eventually she got sent a letter to come and study at this school, and she accepts it. And she's got to the school. It's for kids similar to her, like with similar backgrounds and stuff, or kids that's been like foster homes, stuff like that. And she immediately gets this feeling that there's something weird about this school, which is like on top of a mountain, like in a castle far away from the town and stuff. And she immediately makes a friend. And I don't know, there's just like, I feel like it's not really like the way things progress just seems a bit unrealistic. Like, I feel like they shouldn't progress the way that they are. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but she makes a friend, immediately decides that she should be her roommate. And they're friends, and this roommate tells her that her roommate from like the year prior killed herself, like jumped off the top of the school castle after having had a secret affair with like a professor, which is frowned upon. Actually, it's illegal. And from the first look, there's like sparks and electricity and stuff like that. And they have a few encounters, and like some of these, well, two of these encounters are in the woods, like in the middle of the night, where there's a piano. Like, I don't know, there's just like, I feel like the world building I think I like that. I feel like I enjoy like the whole gothic like vibes. I don't know why, but it's kind of giving me the Netflix show is it called Sabrina's Chilling Adventures or something like that? It's giving me the same vibes, and I really, really loved that show. So I'm kind of liking that. But there's just something, and I cannot pinpoint it, but there's just something lacking for me. That's just not working. Anyways, I'm obviously still gonna continue reading because it's definitely not a DNF. Like, I enjoy it enough for it to not be a DNF, but I don't think it's going to be a 5-star read. I don't think it's going to be a 4-star read, but I can be surprised because there is a plot as well. Like, I'm enjoying the plot, and I'm excited to see like the answers to some of the things that we don't know. So yeah, that was just a little update. I am now gonna get changed into some comfy clothes. We have just come home from a meal in town where we went for some steak to celebrate my own birthday and my stepson's birthday. He turned 7 last weekend. So we've just come home from that. We did stop by my favorite Swedish sweet shop. So I'm gonna get changed into some comfy clothes, and then I'm gonna sit and read and enjoy my sweets. And yeah. It is 2 days later, or a few days later. I have officially finished Gothikana, and I'm not sure how to feel, to be honest. I rated it 1.5 stars, I think. Yeah, 1.5 stars, and it was okay. Like, I know 1.5 isn't a lot, and I'll explain to you why. So, the plot, like the idea, like the mystery in it, I kind of liked. I think I explained about the FMC is a student and the MMC is her professor, and obviously they they are like each other's love interests. And that whole part of the story, like the whole romance part of the story, I did not care for one bit. And I think that's why I ended up rating it so low, because that's like the one of the most important things for me, is that I can connect with the characters and like their relationship, or else it's just gonna fall completely flat for me. And it did in this book, unfortunately. Also, the writing, I think, was really good. Like, I liked the writing, but I just don't think that it's really the style that I enjoy. So it's 100% not badly written. I think it's quite beautifully written, but it's just not the type of writing style that I normally like in a book. So that kind of scores it down a little bit as well. I will say, however, that I thought the plot, like the mystery in it, was really good. And I don't want to spoil too much, because considering that was the only thing that I really enjoyed about the book, I think it would be a shame to spoil it. And then potentially, if you feel similar to what I do when reading this book, then that is going to ruin the book for you even more. I think so. But I did guess the twists, but I still enjoyed it. Like, I still thought it was, I would say, probably the last 10%, I was kind of like, okay, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? So overall, it wasn't my favorite. So I think the TBR for April can only really go upwards from here. And the next book is going to be read. I hope you can still see. The next book that I'm going to be reading is going to be read on my Kindle, and the cowboy boots are very fitting because I will be reading Done and Dusted by Lyla Sage. And I know nothing about this book. I have seen mixed reviews about it. A lot of people love it. A lot of people say it's not that great. And I don't know if that's in regards to like the writing of it. So I'm a bit nervous, but at the same time super excited, because I have still not read a cowboy romance that I did not enjoy. So I'm quite easily entertained and pleased in that sort of matter. So I'm sure I will be enjoying this as well. I have no idea what the book is about, other than the obvious that it's a cowboy romance. And I don't want to read the blurb because I want to go in completely blind. So I'm going to start this tonight. Good morning. It is now 2 days later since the last clip that you saw. I'm just in my office now. I just got here and I'm just getting ready to do some work, but I thought I'd just update you on Done and Dusted. So I'm 80% through and I'm definitely enjoying it so much more than I thought I was. Like, the first 50% of the book I absolutely devoured, and I thought, okay, this is definitely going to be like a 4-star read. But as I've got to like 80%, I feel like there's not much happening. Like, obviously the relationship between the two main characters are like, it's developed and like they're really, enjoying their time together. And I feel like there's still some things that are left to be resolved. But other than that, I can't really see anything major happening in the last 20%. And I kind of feel like it's boring me a little bit. Like, I'm kind of waiting. Like, I need there to be some sort of like bigger issue that needs resolving. Like, I have quite a few ideas to the book where I thought, okay, the author could have gone like this way and done like this or this or this. And obviously there's still 20% left, so I don't know if any of those are going to happen, but it's just at the same time I'm thinking, okay, but how much can really happen in the last 20%? So I feel like that's kind of like ranking it down a little bit, because I am kind of waiting for something to happen. Like, right now it's just very repetitive and it's just very like focused on the romance, which is obviously what the whole book is about, but it's just going too easy. Do you know what I mean? So I'm planning on finishing that book tonight, and then we'll see if anything happens and what I end up rating it. So, but first, let's get some work done. Okay, it is now evening since that last clip that you saw. So I've come home from work, had my dinner, I've walked the dog, my daughter is asleep, and I managed to finish Done and Dusted. In the last clip, I mentioned that I was kind of waiting for like some major, I suppose, to happen for the last like 20%, and something did happen, but I'd say it was more like a little tiny bump in the road, which I was expecting, because it was kind of the last thing to be resolved. Well, I wouldn't say the last thing to be resolved. I definitely felt like the author could have brought in more like aspects, but this one needed dealing with, but it wasn't really, it was kind of done and dusted quite quickly. Like, it was dealt with quite quickly and like in a very swiftly way, I would say. So I'm gonna keep my rating on 3 stars, because I did have a good time. I did think it was a fun read. It wasn't really, anything like woo special or anything. I definitely have had a better time with other cowboy romances, but it did what it needed to do. Like, I was entertained and it was fun. I do feel like the author could have done a few things different. So, for example, in the beginning, we learn that the FMC leaves Denver to go home to Wyoming. She leaves a controlling boyfriend, and before the story started there were trigger warnings, and the one of the trigger warnings was that there would be mentioning of like a controlling relationship. So I was kind of expecting more from that and like the backstory to that, and that was just like swept under the rug completely. So that was a bit disappointing, to be honest. I was kind of waiting for like the ex-boyfriend to show up and be like causing drama and stuff, but that didn't happen. But yeah, anyways, it was fun, and I think it deserves the 3 stars. I don't think it deserves more, but it definitely doesn't deserve less either. So 3 stars is the perfect rating. Now, I don't know which book to go on to now. I'm kind of feeling like I might go on to the thriller, but I also kind of want to read The French Photographer, and we still have a few other books. So I'm actually going to ask my stepson to pick the next book. So I'm going to get the books out, and then he can pick which one. So we've got 4 books for him to pick between. I don't want to do the 2 books I have left to read on my Kindle because I kind of want them in between, because one of them is Holding the Reins, which is another cowboy romance, which is just a perfect palate cleanser. So I feel like that should come in between one of these other books. And the other one is the, what's it called? The first book of the Windy series, City. No, the Windy City series. So he can pick either The French Photographer, The Crossing Places, A Promise of Fire, or Divine Rivals. So I'm going to get him over and I'm going to show him the books. I don't know if I'm going to tell him what they're about, but let's see what he says. Okay, Lewis.
What's this one about?
Okay, Lewis, listen.
Okay.
There's 4 books.
Okay.
And you gotta pick one for me to read now.
Okay.
I have to read all 4, but you pick which one to start with.
Okay.
So this one
What's this one
is
about?
called Divine Rivals.
What's it about?
I'm going to read the back for you. When 2 rival journalists find love through a magical connection, their fate depends.
Okay, we can move on now.
This one is called A Promise of Fire, and I'm going to read some of this. Kingmaker, soothsayer, warrior, mage. Kingdoms would rise and fall for her if she is ever found. Okay, next one. This one is a thriller. It's called The Crossing Places. Are you sure you want to know what this is about? A child's bones are discovered near the site of a prehistoric henge on the North Norfolk coast, and the police ask local forensic archaeologist Dr. Ruth Galloway to date them. Are these the remains of a local girl who disappeared 10 years ago?
No.
Right, this one is called The French Photographer, and my book is in Danish, so I'll be reading it in Danish, but I'm going to tell you a little bit what it's about. So it's from the Second World War.
Like, because I could already know, because it has a literal airplane what has guns and it's shooting.
So part of the book is in 1942 and the other part of the book is in 2004. Okay, so I'm going to hold the books up and then you hold the microphone and you tell me your thoughts.
Okay, let me see. What's April though? I don't know which one they are. Oh, which one? This one. I don't care what one is about, but I just want this one. It looks cool.
What do you think it's about?
A queen who lost her crown.
Okay, so this is the book you want me to read next.
Yeah.
All right, Lewis has picked A Promise of Fire, which is probably not the one I would have picked to go on to next, but let's do it.
Why?
So this is the book I'm gonna be reading. Good morning. I hope you can see me properly. I'm just in my car, well, in the company car that I use, and I've just got to work, but I just needed to update you on the book I'm currently reading. My stepson obviously chose for me to read that book next, and to be honest, it wasn't the book I would have gone for next, purely because I didn't really think I was in the mood for that. I wanted to do a thriller, but either way, that's the book we ended on, and I am so thrilled that that is the book that we went with, because I'm only like 50 pages in, but it's so good. Honestly, I'm so surprised and I'm so pleased. The writing is amazing. It is a bit confusing to begin with because there is a lot of names being mentioned, like different people and different places and such, and I'm pretty sure it's based off of like Greek mythology, so I don't know if there are some names that I should know that I don't know, so I'm just figuring out everything, but already so much is happening, and we've already had an introduction to the FMC obviously, and I'm pretty sure we've met the MMC and he's fun. So everything's going great. I'm really enjoying it. I'm hoping that it's going to continue like this and that it's going to end up being a 5-star read. If it continues like it is right now, then absolutely it's going to be a 5-star read. I'm really having so much fun with it. So yeah. Also, I've just found out that my first Smut and Sip box, that's been shipped yesterday, and it's the box of March, but they had some delays at the printers, so it's come out a bit later than usual. So it's just been shipped yesterday, and I am so excited to get it. I have been waiting patiently to get off the wait list for this subscription box, and I cannot wait, honestly. I have never been so excited to receive a book as I am for this Smut and Sip box. I know what book it is. I've seen other people unbox theirs, but it's stunning. We also already know the book for April and the book for May, and can I just tell you, the May book? I have no words. I am so beyond happy to have come off the wait list, and I cannot wait to receive this book every month, and I wish that it was every week instead of every month, but oh wait. Okay, enough rambling. I need to get into work, and I'll update you later when I get home and I can bury my head in this book. Good morning. I think it is time for a little update. It is now the 14th of April, and I am 50% more or less through A Promise of Fire. And I think the last time I updated you was when I was like 50 pages in or so, and I really, really enjoyed it. I still really, really enjoy it. I think it's got banter, there's like romance, there's a really good plot. It's very Greek mythology, and I'm still getting confused with some of the names, but I feel like I am slowly getting into like learning who's who and what's what and the world building and such. And it's just really interesting. There's still like, it is a little bit slow paced, I would say. They're still on like their journey, but it's fine because there's constantly things happening and we're constantly learning new things. And I really love the banter between our MMC and our FMC. So very, very much enjoying this. Yesterday I did clean a holiday home, which is the last time I'm going to be doing that, but usually I like to listen to audiobooks. So I actually started Mile High, which is also on the TBR for April, and I think I said this in the video where I chose the TBR, but Mile High is the first book of the Windy City series, and everyone usually says like, oh, it's not as good as the others, you can skip the first one, blah blah. I physically cannot skip a book in a series. I have to read them all, and I'm really upset that people are slating this book as much as they are, because I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it. And I don't know if that's because I started with audiobook. Like the first 30% of the book I listened to on audiobook, and since then I've kind of been swapping between like reading it on my Kindle and listening to it in audiobook. I'm currently 59% through, and that's all been done in one day. So I'm absolutely enjoying it. I do feel like it's a tad long for like a romance book, and as we hit 50%, and I don't know, it kind of went from like it was never gonna happen to all of a sudden like, oh, now we're in love. I feel like it's not super unnatural that they're now at this, but I feel like it could have probably eased a bit more into it, if that makes sense, like the relationship between our two main characters. But being at 60%, I obviously know that there's gonna be more drama coming and some more dilemmas that our characters needs to get over, and it wouldn't surprise me if they're gonna be pulled away from each other to then reunite. I have no idea though, but overall, I will say that I think it's long for a romance book, but I am absolutely enjoying it. And I definitely think you should still read the first book if you do want to go into this series. So yeah, today I'm back in work. I probably will be reading a bit of both today as well. So I'll give you an update when I'm a bit further in with either of the two books. Hello, guys. I literally have a million things to do, but I have to share this with you, this exciting news. I got a package today. I know what it is. Ooh! I have officially got my first Smut and Sip box. I'm so excited. I know what book is in here. I've seen it, but having it in person, I can't wait. Okay, so I thought let's open it together. Okay, so we have nice wrapping. And I know this is not something that they do every time with the book only subscription, but sometimes they will throw this in. But I don't know if you can see that, but there's some like explicit art in here that I cannot show on the camera. We've got the author's autograph that I can put into the book myself wherever I want it. We've got so that I can make the mocktail at home. Usually with the box options, they get the mocktails included. So there'll be like 2 bottles to mix for the mocktail, but I get the recipe so I can make it myself. And then there's a note from the author. Oh, this is so cute. Right, let's look at the book. Honestly, I don't even know if you can see that, but this is so stunning. It is massive. It is chunky. Look at that sprayed edge. I am obsessed. So this book is The Atonement of the Spine Cleaver by F.E. Bryce. And I know nothing about this book, but I am so excited to find out. On the back, it says, she burned down their cities. Now she needs their protection, which doesn't give much away, but I don't even remember the tropes for this. Oh, the art. Oh, it's got a map. We've got a map. Stop it. There's another map. How many maps are there? I mean, I'm not complaining. There's another map. Jesus. Wow, I am so excited for this. I am so happy that I subscribed to this book subscription box. This I will never unsubscribe from because wow. Anyways, let's move on to the things I have to do before I can finally sit down and read my books. I think I am going to be doing some cooking. Well, I'm going to be cleaning the kitchen first and then I'm doing some cooking and I am probably going to be listening to Mile High while I do that. So let's just get started. Hello, it is now the next day. I finished Mile High, not last night, but the night before. And I ended up rating it. Oh, I can't even remember. Did I rate it 4 stars? I think actually. And there was a time during the book where I was thinking, okay, this is not going to be more than 3 stars because I just felt like it was quite dragged out. Like parts of the middle could have probably been cut a bit shorter. But then the feeling I got towards like the end, I was like, okay, I'm really enjoying this. So I'd be lying if I didn't give it 4 stars. So I was actually really pleasantly surprised with that. And I am very desperate to get to the next book, but I want to make sure I finish all the other books that I have on my TBR for April before I do that. So yeah, if you don't know anything about Mile High, it is a sports romance. So our male main character is a hockey player and our FMC is a stewardess. So she's working on the plane that his hockey team uses to fly to their games in like other states and other cities and stuff. And he's like quite used to getting a lot of attention from women, and he has a very bad relationship with his mum. They don't speak. And so he's kind of like, he's always had like loads of women and, always gotten loads of attention and stuff, never really wanted anyone like serious. And when he meets her, he's just expecting that she'll fall under that category as well. But she bites back and she's like not really fangirling over him, which he's not used to. So already there's like an interest from him. And she had a very bad relationship with another sportsman, so she's like said no, never again, never another sportsman. So she's not interested. So she doesn't want him. He's already immediately interested, but like not in a way to where like he wants her. But then he does. But then it's like he only wants her like for one night. And so they end up like getting together for just one night and feel like that should be like the itch has been scratched. But then obviously their relationship continues and stuff. And then a lot of things happen. Also, importantly, her boss has said that it's completely illegal to fraternize with the players. She can't hang out with the players. She can't nothing. So there's obviously a risk there as well. And a lot of things happen. I do feel like, as I said, the middle part of the book was just kind of like repeating. It could have been cut shorter, but the ending had me. And another thing I will say, at the ending, I felt like the author kept just trying to like keep the two characters apart for the reunion, and I felt like she didn't necessarily have to do that. But it wasn't. It's like a minor thing. It wasn't really deal breaking. So either way, the ending was happy, and it was a good ending. So overall, I thought the book was really good. It had me entertained. I wanted to read it. I wanted to listen to it, and I'm super excited to continue the series because everyone says that the first book is not as good as the rest. So considering I rated that 4 stars, I'm expecting there's going to be at least one 5-star read in the next few books. So very happy that the wheel decided that we should read that. Last night I finished the other book I was reading. Oh no, what was that called? A Promise of Fire? A Promise of Fire. A Promise of Fire, I think is what it's called. I honestly can't even remember now. I've put the book back on the shelf, but my stepson is absolutely sure it's called A Promise of Fire. So anyways, I finished that yesterday. I ended up rating this 3 stars, and this book was so weird to me because half of me really enjoyed it and the other half was a bit like there were things that I didn't enjoy, but I'm itching to move on to the next book, so that obviously means that I did enjoy it. I was contemplating whether or not I should rate it 2.75, and I thought, do you know what, I did end up enjoying it, so I thought it was 3 stars worth. Like, I would recommend it to others. But the beginning was so good. Like, I was interested in the characters, I was interested in the yearning, the banter, the plot, like everything was going great. And then around the 50% point, I started getting the ick from the female main character. She started really irritating me because I thought the banter wasn't really like banter anymore. It was more like very childish. And I thought she was being super childish, and her inner monologue, like the issues that she had, like the same issue as to why she wouldn't get with like the MMC, was just the same and the same and the same, and there was no like growth. Even though she ended up doing different things, the inner monologue was still the same, and I don't know why, but it just ended up really annoying me. And there were other things as well where I felt like sometimes the plot was just dragging, and then other times we were like skipping things where I was like, what, how did that happen? And I was really disappointed by the ending. I was expecting something major to happen. I was expecting like some sort of plot twist, knowing that there were 2 more books in the series, and there just wasn't. It just kind of like nothing really happened. So I feel like that would usually lead readers to kind of be like, meh, it's not really important to continue, because I mean, there are obviously things that have not had an ending yet, and there are things that our MMC doesn't know about our FMC that I was actually expecting he'd find out in this first book. But so there are things still left unsolved to be solved in the next 2 books, but I feel like there should have been more. Like, there should have been more excitement in the end, and there just wasn't. So a little bit disappointed by that, but overall I did enjoy it mostly, and I kind of got a little bit over the point where I found the FMC annoying. I still think parts of her, I like, rubs me the wrong way, but I enjoyed it, and I will definitely pick up the second book. And most people have said that they loved the first book and then it kind of just went downwards with the rest, but I have hopes, so one day I'm going to pick up the second book. Anyways, the next book I have decided to start reading from our April TBR is The Crossing Places by Elly Griffiths, and I started reading this. I read like 1 page last night before I nearly fell asleep, so I've been reading it a little bit this morning, and it's not disappointing, let's just say that. So it's about a forensic archaeologist. I don't know if that's how you say it, but anyways, she's a teacher or like a professor in a university, and she lives quite far out. She lives in England on the outskirts by a salt marsh and like the sea sea, basically, a lake or whatever. And she likes her alone time. She lives alone with her two cats, and she describes herself as overweight. It seems like she has a bit of a strained relationship with her mum, which gives me the same sort of vibes from Mile High. Anyways, so I've gotten to the point where she's gone into the university to teach, and as she gets there, she sees her boss with another man, and the way she describes this man, I immediately think, okay, this is going to be a love interest, which is just weird because this is a thriller. It's not a romance. Clearly, I've been reading too many romance books, but we don't know yet. Anyways, this turns out to be a detective, and he asks for her help because they found some bones, and he's thinking it could be the bones of a little girl that disappeared 10 years ago. But when they find the bones, so our FMC goes with him to where they found these bones, which happens to be right next to where she lives by this salt marsh. And immediately, like looking at them and studying them, she thinks they are all the way back from like the Iron Age, which would make sense because a few years earlier she did discover this Stonehenge with, I don't know, previous colleagues or something. So connecting the two, even though they found out the Stonehenge is from like the Bronze Age, and these bones she thinks are from the Iron Age because of an item that is found with the bones. But so that's where we've gotten to now. And I think the detective, he says he was hopeful that these were the remains of like the little girl that disappeared because he really wants to give the parents clarity. And yeah, that's all we know so far. I'm expecting that the bones are actually this little girl's, and because they're going to be testing them further, and I think they're going to end up finding out that these are the bones from this little girl. And then obviously there's going to be like a case, and yeah. So far it's really good. I'm enjoying it, and I am going to make myself a coffee now, and then I'm going to continue reading while my daughter has her nap. Okay, so I've literally only read 2 pages, but remember how I said I feel like the MMC is going to be like a love interest? Well, right now we're reading his point of view, and he has a wife, for starters, and he's just said, and I quote, "Not that she'd ever make a policewoman. Too overweight, for one thing." He says that about Ruth, about our FMC. But then he also like thinks things like she had looked him in the face coolly as an equal. He thinks he's never met anyone, any woman, quite as sure of themselves as Ruth Galloway. Even the way she dresses, baggy clothes, trainers, seem to be a way of saying that she doesn't care what anyone thinks. She's not going to tart herself up in skirts and high heels just to please men. Not that there's anything wrong with pleasing men, but there's something interesting, even refreshing, about a woman who doesn't care whether or not she's attractive. So, where the hell is this going? Hello, excuse the state of me. It is a Sunday evening. I've had my shower. I've done everything that needed doing in the house today. And it is now almost 9 o'clock. And it is finally time to update you guys on the books. So last night I finished The Crossing Places by Elly Griffiths, and I ended up rating this 4 stars. It really surprised me. I was hooked basically from pretty early on, as you've seen, and even though I found the writing at times to be a little bit odd, purely because like I thought the writing was good, but sometimes for me like a third person point of view is not always like for me, and this was in third person point of view, and I think that's the only thing that that I disliked about this book. Other than that, I loved the characters. I thought the plot was really good. I did figure out quite early on like who was the sinner, but I thought there could potentially be a few, so I had my suspicions, but I was still very surprised by some of the twists, so that was really nice. I didn't expect any sort of like romantic subplot, so I was pleasantly surprised by that as well, even though that's really doesn't take much attention at all, and I feel like that's like gonna be like an ongoing thing in the rest of the series. I'm pretty sure there's like 15 books in the series, and I'm not quite ready to commit to that. So even though I love loved this book, I feel like I'm not really gonna continue with the series soon. I mean, I can always pick one up if I fancy a thriller. But overall, it was really, really good. It's about, I think I've said this already, but our female main character, Dr. Ruth Galloway, helps our MMC. So yeah, so that was really good. And then last night I also did start The French Photographer, also known as The Paris Orphan, I think. And I have read this book a couple of times before, but it's still absolutely incredible. I think the last time I read it was in 2021 or 2022, and I'm like halfway through now. So I started it last night and I've been reading it a little bit today as well. And even though I remember parts of the story, it's still absolutely beautiful. The writing is perfect. The characters are likable. The relationships in the book is just amazing. And knowing that this is based somewhat on like a true story, at least some of the aspects, like the war side of things, is based on like a true story. And then I love that the author has put in like a romantic subplot, and I know where this is gonna go, and I know my heart is gonna be broken, but I'm enjoying the ride. And I didn't think this was gonna be something that I enjoyed, but in this story you're following basically like two female like main characters. So one is in like 1940s where the war happened, and then the other one is in 2004, and those two women have some sort of connection. And I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but I didn't think I was going to like the jumping in time, because like you have quite a few chapters with one female character, and then it will like take you over to the other female character in like a different time. So it's not like it's swapping between every chapter. You do get a lot of the story from each person's point of view, but it just works. Like the writing is just so well done, and the story is so good, and the characters, like I'm loving this book. And yeah, that's the update for now. I'm going to continue reading this tonight, and I don't think it's going to take me many days to finish this one. And then there's only 2 books left in the TBR list that we made for April, so I'm pretty happy with how the whole reading month is going. Let's see if I actually end up finishing the last 2. So yeah. It is officially the next day. I finished The French Photographer last night, which you will have seen in the previous clip. And I'm not sure how many times I've read this book now, but every single time the ending and like parts of the book just absolutely breaks my heart. And even though I've read it several times, this remains a 5-star, if not more, read for me. I think it's definitely one of my absolute god tier favorite books ever. It's up there with A Love Letter to Whiskey. Yeah, those 2 are probably my favorite books ever. So finished this, and I kind of feel like I'm in a slump now. I really don't want to go into the 2 remaining books we have of the April TBR, but at the same time I want to finish the list. So we've got Divine Rivals and we've got Holding the Reins left to read for April. And I feel like Holding the Reins is like a good palate cleanser and might be a fun read to go into after the heavy read I've just done. So I have that downloaded on my Kindle. Yeah, so have Holding the Reins here. And I don't know how many pages this is, but I'm pretty sure it's like a quick read. I've seen people loving this. I've seen people being like, it was average, but apparently it's quite spicy. So like I said, I think this will be a perfect palate cleanser. And yeah, so I'm gonna start reading Holding the Reins and see how long it takes for me to finish that before we only have Divine Rivals left. Okay, I am 15% in, so I'm not that far in, but up until now, it's very similar to Done and Dusted that I read like 2.5 weeks ago. And I don't know which of those came out first. And obviously, it's a cowboy romance, like, there's not that many different scenarios that you can really do, but I literally feel like I'm reading the same book with a few altercations. And so far, there are things with this that I'm not really enjoying. I think it's something with the dialogue. I'm not entirely sure. But like it's all right. It's entertaining enough, but I just feel like I don't know if this is because I only just read Done and Dusted literally 2.5 weeks ago, but it's just I feel like I'm literally reading the same book. So I'll still obviously read it and I might be surprised. I feel like there is going to be like a different sort of plot, but that's like how I'm feeling up until now. And I'm not really loving the characters so far. So I don't know. Hopefully it gets better. Good morning. I'm just sitting in my car. I've just got to work and I'm about to go in and work. But last night I finished Holding the Reins and I ended up rating this 2.75 stars. I did eventually get over the little thing I disliked for the first like 30% of the book. I cannot tell you what it was, but it turned around for me and I did enjoy the rest of the book. I wouldn't say it was a masterpiece. I've definitely read better books, and I don't know if my issue was because I literally read Done and Dusted like 2-3 weeks ago and they are so similar. I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks this, but honestly, right now I cannot like differentiate the two worlds from each other. Like I'm thinking about book 2 of each series and I like thinking back on the first two books, like on the first book of each series, it's kind of all mixed up for me. Like I cannot tell you like what's, I don't know where I'm getting at, but I'm not sure I'm going to continue this series, at least not now. I think I'd be leaning more towards like going further with the Rebel Blue Ranch series, but still it was an okay read and I did rate it 2.75. So I still have 3-4 days left of this month. However, I will not be reading Divine Rivals. I'm simply not in the mood for a fantasy book right now. I think I need to read some more sports romance or dark romance before going back into the fantasy world. So I will be waiting to read Divine Rivals, but that still means that's the only book from the 8 books that I picked for April that I did not read. So I'm actually really impressed with myself. And to be fair, it's been really fun. Like I've enjoyed the different genres and I've enjoyed that it hasn't been like one series that I've just sat down to read. So I think it's been quite successful, even though all reads weren't 5 stars, but I still enjoyed the books. So I will definitely be doing this again. Probably not for May, but I will be doing it again. And on that note, I think I'm just gonna finish this video here. It's probably really long, and apologies for that. Hopefully you're someone that likes watching long videos, but I will be finishing the video here, and hopefully I'll see you again in my next video, which is gonna be a video testing out Fairy Loot and Smut and Sip subscription boxes. So make sure you tune in for that, and until next time, happy reading, and I'll see you soon. Bye!